Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Movie Mates mini review. This time, I am Matthew, here with my wonderful co-host and best friend,
Callum.
Callum. It's been a while since we've recorded, hasn't it, buddy?
It has, yeah.
Just before we
Because
start.
I didn't want to suffer through the rest of the Terminator films.
Yeah. Here, I don't blame you, bud. Terminator Salvation. We'll get into our thoughts in another episode. But yeah, just to preface this episode, Callum and I.
I'll maybe close the door.
Okay.
Yeah.
Callum and I would like to, prepared as always, Callum and I would like to thank everyone who has recently subscribed. Cara, Leah, Jessica, thank you for subscribing. Aoife, thank you for subscribing. And if I've forgotten any names, apologies. But everyone who's recently subscribed, viewed, liked, we appreciate it tons. And yeah, as you've seen by the title, Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines. So, Callum, do you want to give a brief rundown of what we're going to be talking about and stuff?
So yeah, we're just going to be breaking down our overall thoughts on this third installment in the Terminator franchise. This was intended as a direct sequel to Terminator Judgment Day, but obviously was retconned with Dark Fate.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk. We're gonna see them battle it out. We're gonna give our thoughts. Compare this to Dark Fate. See which Terminator 3 is superior.
Absolutely. So as always, for a mini review, actually no, this one's gonna be a little bit different because
Is it?
Well, just full spoilers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
that was what. Yeah. We do this with older releases,
Yeah, so
like
for older
with
releases.
It.
Yeah. So 2003 release, I believe. So that's got probably enough time for people to have seen it.
A solid statute of limitations.
Yeah. So full spoilers for this one, guys, and as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and yeah, that'll be awesome.
As always.
As always.
Yeah.
So without further ado, Callum, would you like to kick us off, buddy? Any
Sure.
thoughts you have?
I wanted to ask you, Matthew, did Terminator 2 need a sequel? Like, do you think this is them beating a dead horse?
Yeah, because this one was quite a few years after T2, wasn't it? Maybe 11 or 12?
Yeah, 12.
So
I think so.
they did wait a while for it,
Yeah.
but for me, I don't know if it was needed, but I don't think this film's as bad as everyone says it is. I quite like it.
It seems entirely unnecessary.
It's unnecessary,
but
yeah.
Definitely they shouldn't have continued it past this.
Oh, no.
So I think either do 1 and 2 and then Dark Fate, or 1, 2 and then this.
Yeah.
And then at least after that give up. Because
Yeah,
from what I can tell, having not seen Salvation or Genesis, they just create further critically, destroyed.
Oh, yeah, they're panned. Yeah, I thought, because this is 2003, they did wait a while, but I think Arnie is aged really well. He's probably like in his 50s at this stage, in 2003.
Maybe,
and
yeah.
He's in good shape for in his 50s,
I assume his body is CGI, right?
Yeah, maybe it is, but
Must
it's
be.
quite muscular.
Because his pecs are like 7 feet,
Yeah.
feet wide.
Yeah. Didn't they date? No, they probably didn't date in this one.
He looked de-aged
I
because
thought so a little bit.
I've seen there's a scene in Terminator 4, right, where he's been de-aged,
Oh, yeah, in
right?
Salvation, yeah.
Oh, what did I say? Genesis?
You said 4. Terminator 4, so Salvation.
Oh, so yeah, I was right. Okay, cool.
But yeah, no, you're right. He is aged in that.
Yeah. Did you think for such a high budget film it looked incredibly like a TV movie?
I thought that, yeah, because there's so many like fake sets and stuff, and you usually see that in TV productions. So it was a little jarring, I guess, to see such a high budget film to have such a lackluster set piece
Yeah.
action.
I mean, have
set
you seen Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles?
No, not at all.
It was also intended as a direct sequel. There's been quite a few a direct sequel to Terminator Judgment Day,
Mm-hmm.
and the effects in that are about on par with this, and that's
Really?
a 31 episode TV series.
Yeah.
So that should be those effects should look a must.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was quite disappointed by the quality of the effects,
Correct.
especially like even the exoskeleton or the endoskeletons in one of the opening scenes where John Connor has a dream. Like the effects really haven't improved since 1991.
No, not really. And the fact that this is 2003, you had films like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man and stuff at this stage.
Yeah.
And the CGI.
The benchmark for good films.
Well,
and quality CGI.
The CGI in that is decent in Sam
Yeah.
Raimi's for the most part. And I'm trying to think what other films 2002. X-Men. I know it was 2000, but okay CGI.
Yeah,
As
pretty
well.
decent.
So yeah, I mean the budget probably was quite high, probably one of the highest budgets for a film at the time, I'd imagine.
Yeah. I think this is embarrassingly late for this amount of narration in a film.
Yeah,
But
it goes on.
I think they were just trying to replicate the Sarah Connor narration in the first
Maybe.
two films. But even that got on my nerves, so I don't see Maybe just with our modern eyes, it just seems a bit lazy.
Do you like this John Connor?
I like him about 400 times more than Edward Furlong.
Yeah.
Because I said like he's incredibly unnoteworthy. Because I mean, I've seen like how bad Christian Bale is in Salvation, and this guy was definitely better than that.
I think he's quite good.
I mean, you basically could have like plucked any generic handsome TV actor, and he could have been that. You know, that could have been like a Stephen Amell.
Could have been, yeah.
You know, like it seems like. I mean, you know, Stephen Amell's a great actor. Like that wasn't me knocking him. I'm just saying, you know, you could have plucked any you know,
Famous,
unknown or known
equivocal,
TV or film actor, and they could have performed as well as this. Because honestly, it's just an unimportant role.
Yeah.
You would think, even in this film, he is sort of like pitched as the main character, but
gets sidelined a lot by Claire Danes and stuff.
Yeah, weirdly, he becomes a secondary character in a franchise that's all about killing him.
Yeah, and I think he's the best John Connor yet. But
do you mean up to that point?
Up to that point, yeah. I mean,
like, do you think like Christian Bale or Jason Clarke are better?
No, I think Christian Bale.
No,
Christian as Terminator. We'll get into Terminator Salvation in the episode after this, but I think Christian Bale's performance as John Connor in that is worst performance of his career. And I haven't seen all of his films, given that, but he's just not good. I forget what this guy's name is.
I wrote it down. Nick Stoll, I think.
Yes. And I think he's good. You know, he's clearly, I would say, mid-20s at this stage, maybe a bit younger.
20s, I think.
And I think he is good. You know, best John Connor yet for me. Best John Connor in the franchise probably. But
yeah, I mean, at least he didn't say, "Are you calling moi a dipshit?"
Yeah. Oh man, love that. But. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't think I got into it enough in the Terminator 2 review. Edward Furlong is one of the worst child actors I've ever seen. We had this argument with our English teacher because she loves Terminator 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And I'm so angry that Edward Furlong got this gig. I can't believe it.
He's not that bad, is he?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, one thing I wanted to say about John Connor, actually, yeah, okay, this is
No, I'm not done.
Okay.
Well, like with all the actors that are struggling to feed themselves in Hollywood, and Edward Furlong got the job.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Sixth Sense? I know you haven't. Don't bother. Haley Joel Osment is the best child actor born.
I think McKenna Grace is good.
I agree.
Yeah.
But Edward Furlong, he is a special kind of dipshit.
Yeah. I'm glad he died in Dark Fate.
I was so glad he died. So glad. Not the actor. The actor is
the CGI was impressive at Dark Fate. We mentioned it.
Yeah.
I think this John Connor, he's generally a nice guy. He nearly dies because he doesn't want to hit a deer. He's a nice guy, you know.
But again, like, he's just showed us such a little bitch. I mean, how is this guy meant to lead the resistance army against like such killing machines? You know, you see him fire a gun once, and then he's like, "Oh no, I couldn't possibly harm something." You know.
Yeah, I don't know. I like it.
Like, it's Edward Furlong. You know, I mean, it's not as bad as Edward Furlong.
Edward Furlong would probably have Edward Furlong would probably be more of a commander.
No, but Edward Furlong was like, "You can't kill anybody." Like.
Yeah.
Well,
one thing I suppose this is a good time to bring up the new model of Terminator in this film,
sure.
The TX.
Yes.
Do you think it's as scary or as imposing as the T1000 was? Because it's supposed to be a mix of the T100 and T1000.
I noticed by the very end of the film, the TX had about 3 lines, and I don't think you can be I think they sort of thought, we'll have her be silent and intimidating.
Yeah.
But I think you need some sort of menacing dialogue to provide some context for why they're pursuing you.
Yeah, like Gabriel Luna in Dark Fate, for instance, like he has an okay number of lines, and he I think that adds to his fear factor,
But I mean, I think Terminator, people will probably say the T1000 is their favorite Terminator, but I think the T800 from the first film is probably my favorite.
Okay.
Because I think he balanced having not that many lines with, good visual acting.
Yeah. Like, do you think the T800 T1000 hybrid is do you think it's a good idea? Like, do you think it works in the film, or do you think they tried to replicate the success of the T1000 in this film just for audience.
Well, they talk about this sort of being like a much more updated model, but like, why did it take so many models for them to think it was maybe a handy idea to like build weapons into the Terminator?
Yeah.
Because obviously they can't bring future technology back with them like in a physical gun because it'll burn off during the time travel.
Mm-hmm.
But like, why didn't they think before that to just make the Terminator, like, if it's so supposedly like a killing machine, why doesn't it have like built-in like machine guns into like its nipples or something?
That'd be fun. Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Like, the first time we see John Connor, he's just he's a construction worker.
He is, yeah.
And I was just thinking, like, you'd feel pretty shit knowing that like you're meant to lead something so important and then not be able to do it. Like, nobody knows that you nobody knows that you saved the world. Like, how would you feel knowing that?
Yeah, because
I mean, based on how we saw Edward Furlong be such like an arrogant little twat, like, I expected him to like be shouting it from the rooftops, not like he doesn't seem like the kind of type to just like run away and hide himself.
Yeah.
He seems like the kind of guy to like get on the news and announce, "I saved the world."
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Because I mean, if he thought that like Skynet was no longer a risk, which they did after they destroyed Cyberdyne, like I would have thought that he would be telling everyone.
If I was John Connor from the future, I would send
film like, oh yeah, I happen to be sent back on the day the Judgment Day happens. I'm like, just send a Terminator, like just send a protector back for every single day John Connor's alive.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Also, why do they only ever when like Skynet sends back a Terminator, why do they always send back a protector like for the same day of arrival? Like, why don't you send them back to a time before the Terminator arrived?
Yeah. It's
like to preempt that time travel.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. But
this is why I hate time travel, as you can listen to in our Avengers Endgame podcast.
See, I just we've both come out slating the film. I do quite like this film, but
I really like it. I haven't made that clear. I really enjoyed it.
Although I think one of the most dated scenes is probably when the TX sees a Victoria's Secret billboard.
I wasn't even paying attention to that. No, I think the most outdated scene is when the male stripper says, "Talk to the hand."
Yeah, then
like I wrote down about how somehow this dialogue aged faster, and like it's noticeable in like all 2000s films.
I think the T800 reuses it again in the film, doesn't he?
It's actually not a T800, it's a T101, I think.
Oh yes, sorry, model 101. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a T850, I don't know, something like that.
T101 as I've written down.
We'll go for 101.
But yeah, like he reused that, and like just aged dialogue in 2000s films just instantly dates itself.
I think it's funny though.
Like when someone says like, "What's up?" like that, that's instantly like 2007.
Yeah.
It instantly dates itself.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I mean, the Terminators are built for efficiency, so like, why does the TX like banter with the person like before she steals her car? And again, like, if they're built for efficiency of movement, why does she steal a car and not a motorbike?
I know, and also, like, on the other side of the TX, like, the TX can identify someone by their blood type, but not on physical appearance.
I'm like, I don't understand how by, like, screeching through a phone, she got, like, the records of the people she was looking for.
I don't know either. Oh, man. See, the TX.
See, like, Terminator does such an odd, like, the whole franchise does such a weird exposition balance where they explain things that don't need explained and then don't explain the things that do.
Mm-hmm.
Because I need more explanation for that and less about the fact that they're coming back to kill John Connor. I understand that. Like, I don't need more explanation on that.
Yeah.
If someone starts shooting at them, they want to kill them. I don't need you to tell me that.
Yeah.
Also, the T101 steals the clothes off the stripper. I don't think they exactly looked like the same build. Did you?
No, she fits him perfectly. And he goes for like some weird glasses as well.
Yeah, some like Elton John shades.
Yeah. Programmed for humor, apparently.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
I don't know why Kate assumed that like the someone who was capturing her would just tell her the truth. She was like, "You said you'd let me go," and he's like, "I lied."
Yeah.
And she's like, "What?
What? Yeah, as if they'd be a truthful person.
My kidnapper told a fib?"
Yeah. Like John Connor. I know he's supposed to be like a military veteran, but he just gets his ass beat by Kate in the vets.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like he was high on animal pills. Like, was that to like
John?
like that's never explained. Like he's like, "Oh, you have to let me explain," and then he never does. I think it was to like stop himself dreaming. But
from getting visions or something.
But like, why? You know, she says there's like a clinic up the street, and I get how you can't go into it and ask for help because they'll ask for like his ID. But why like would you choose to break into a vet's when you could break into another clinic?
Yeah.
Like, I get not officially entering it, but like if you're planning on breaking in anyway.
Is her name Katie or Kate?
Kate.
Kate, yeah. But yeah.
Well, like it's all short for Catherine, so
yeah, true.
You know, either.
But yeah, like one thing I was gonna say was Kate's father is coincidentally head of Skynet.
Yes.
On the nose.
No, like I think, you know, they're.
But like yeah.
I think it's, you know, sort of like time finding a way to mess with John Connor, like.
Oh yeah.
You know, because I think just in this universe. Well, as they say, Judgment Day is inevitable.
Yeah.
So I think every time they try to stop it, it gets more and more ironic about how it comes about.
See, that's what I mean. One thing I've got to give the movie credit for, I like the way it presents that Judgment Day is an inevitable thing that will always happen.
Yeah.
Like, they do, like, even by the, I mean, we'll get into this at the end, but even by the end, like, once they think they've stopped it or whatever, you know, it still happens. Like, I think that's probably, if it was to happen in real life, which obviously is ridiculous and it would never happen, well, like, the
nuclear war could happen.
No, that's what I mean. Like, not as the way it's seen here, but it could, like, something similar could happen.
Yeah.
Like, it's realistic in that sense, which I respect and admire for the film.
Yeah. I don't know why when the T-101 shows up, John Connor assumed that it was there to kill him, because like the only experience that he's had with that model of Terminator has been positive.
Yeah, and also like he assumes that the T-101 will remember him, but it's a different one.
Yeah.
Like he just assumes that.
I mean, I kind of get that.
Yeah, but like, yeah, but he saw the T-800 die in T2, so I guess.
Was that a T-800 or was that also a T-101?
See, I don't know if the T-101 and T-800 are different. I think the T-800 is the one from the first one, the Terminator, and then every Terminator after that's been the T-101.
But why is it like T-800 then T-101 then T-1000? I don't understand that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Because I'm definitely not wrong. I'm pointing at my TV. I don't know why. This is an audio medium, but like he definitely referred to himself as T-101.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, he does.
I mean, when did you last watch this film? Be honest.
2 or 3 weeks ago.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Because me and Matthew arrived quite early today.
Yeah.
You know, so some would argue very early.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely.
I mean, I was very late in my watching of this film.
We have been busy recently.
Yeah. So we watched the ending together, and he had said he hadn't seen it in a while. I didn't realize a while was 2 to 3 weeks.
No,
but okay.
We've been very busy recently. So apologies to the viewers. We haven't been as active. We have been trying to get stuff worked out.
A film that's meant to be about cybernetic organisms. There's too many car chases.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There's at least 3 car chases in this film.
This franchise loves car chases.
Yeah. As I said in a previous episode, I got a big boner for them.
Yes, because.
I mean, at one point there's 2 happening at the same time, and they just keep cutting back and forth between them.
I know. Like, I think, I can't remember if it was you who told me this or someone told me this, but like, they create a building for a set piece that the crane goes through for the car chase. I
did not tell you that, no.
Excuse me. But yeah, like, the production team, like, created an actual fake building, because you know when the T-X is in like the crane and stuff, like, and the crane goes to the building. That's a fake building apparently, which I thought was interesting. Nice. And also would have cost a lot of money, I'd imagine.
I would say arguably this is Arnold's worst performance in the franchise.
I would say this is worst, yeah, definitely.
He's so I know he's playing a cybernetic organism, but like he's just just so bland in this film.
Yeah, and
I think it's just because he's phoning it in for the money. Because clearly Linda Hamilton wasn't interested in returning, and I presume Arnold wasn't, but they were sort of like, we don't have a franchise without Arnold, so they probably paid him a shit ton of money, and he was like, fine, I'll phone in this performance.
I think his ending in T2 was perfect for the character. Like,
well, I suppose because every time it's a different character, it doesn't matter. You know, it was a perfect ending for that character, but this is a different character just with his same face.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was a good enough conclusion to his performance in the franchise.
Yeah, I do agree. Like it's probably his worst performance in the franchise. I mean, like Talk to the Hand is quite it's not a great line.
And then we have the reappearance of the like post trauma doctor from the first two films.
Yeah.
And like I didn't realize that until after that he was the one from the first two films. But I was just thinking like, is he meant to be bad? Like
I don't know.
I mean obviously they played it for laughs when like he runs away, but like when he was just chatting to her, I was like, is it just me that thinks he's doing a shit job at this? But like clearly that was the intention.
I'm glad to see he was back to the film.
I read that he is actually the only two actors to appear in the first three films, in all three of the first three films.
Really?
Yeah, because obviously
Edward Furlong.
Linda Hamilton was only in the first two. Edward Furlong was only in the second one. You know.
True. One thing I wanted to mention to you was I think this film is severely less graphic than the first two. Like
big time, yeah.
I don't know what. Is it the same rating?
Yeah, have you got the DVD there? It's a 12, and the other two.
Is it a 12?
The other two are 15s. Yeah.
I wonder why. Probably for the money, I imagine.
Yeah, like they were probably just trying to appeal to a wider audience, presumably.
But like obviously in the second film, we see that John Connor's stepmom and dad are killed.
Yeah.
And actually, like one of those brutal shots in the franchise is when you see the T1's like blade through his stepdad's like head.
Yeah.
But this film, I forget, like it's been a while since I've seen it, like a couple of weeks as I say, but I don't think they show us Kate's fiance getting killed, but they kill him off screen.
It cuts. Like you hear the like the saw blade going, and then you see a blood spurt go on a photograph. But then later they sort of try and recreate a similar kind of scene when the TX takes the form of the fiance and like his arm goes through the chest of one of the officers. But even then, it doesn't look like real blood.
That's what I was gonna say. It looks like a lot less graphic.
It looks like really watery. Like it looks. It's intentionally like really unrealistic looking.
But I didn't know it was a 12. Actually, I thought it was a 15. So. I mean, that's probably why it was less graphic.
I mean, it drops more F words than a normal 12 would get away with.
It does, yeah. It probably pushes that.
Even if Kid or John, like, were minutely, like, uncooperative, they would have died when he said get down. Yeah. It's like, instantly he just, like, chops off, like, the top of the vehicle.
Yeah.
So, like, if they'd just been like, sorry, what? Dead.
Like, did it shock you that they killed Sarah Connor off in this?
Well, I knew in advance that Linda Hamilton wasn't in it, and I knew for a fact that, you know, like it was presumably because they weren't going to pay her enough, or, you know, because she felt her character arc had come to an end, which, like, justifiably it had. You know, by the end of the second film, she believes that she's completely prevented Judgment Day. So I think it was fair enough to conclude that character storyline. And I knew that, like, because that's also a plot line in the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know, they have that, but that show actually got cancelled before it could finish any of its storylines, so that actually never came to fruition. But that series also ignores the continuity of this film. But yeah, I mean, were you surprised by that?
I was a little surprised because I didn't know it going in, so I think it was a little jarring. But it just interests me, like, I know it's Dark Fate's in a different timeline, but I assume, like, you know, I'm glad that she did come back for a Dark Fate, but I just wonder how time travel could affect her from getting leukemia.
How do you mean?
Like, because obviously this Sarah Connor died from leukemia.
Yeah.
But the one in Dark Fate is alive, so she didn't die of leukemia. So I just wondered, like, how would time travel alter like that? Because wouldn't it always be inevitable, like that you would die from like in that instance, unless maybe this Dark Fate Sarah Connor has a cure for the disease or something.
Yeah, because I presume, I mean, obviously, like, they haven't commented on this officially, but I assume the official explanation for, like, this sort of, like, two branching continuities is just, you know, one's, like, an Elseworld story of, like, what if Judgment Day happened, like, 20 years after this version. But yeah, that doesn't explain Sarah Connor's death, because, yeah, it should be the same result.
Yeah. But here, I think she is good in Dark Fate, and check out the review if anyone hasn't seen it. I'll plug it in there.
Yeah. I think that the T101 telling Kate and John that they're going to get married probably means that they won't.
Yeah,
Because I mean,
it's the whole thing about like telling someone that like the future will occur as will automatically mean that future doesn't occur.
yeah,
It's a paradox.
I just think time travel films are just such bullshit. Like, we'll talk about Back to the Future one of these days. Like, I haven't seen those, but I mean, I imagine
You can have fun with that.
I imagine I'll enjoy the story, but the time travel will probably infuriate me.
The only film that actually, well, I think Endgame does it well per se because it's entertaining. Probably doesn't logically make sense, but for me, it adds to the story. About Time's probably pretty flawless in terms of.
It has some iffy moments, but you know, they sort of like that film has enough charm to get away with it. Avengers Endgame just seems so heartless and without substance for me that I couldn't excuse it.
When We First Met does it quite well, I think, as well.
Well, yeah, because that's more. It's less time travel, more of like
going back into your younger self kind of thing.
Yeah,
I know
it's about time-esque, but also it's
more of an X-Men.
It's also
kind of deal.
It's also more of like a time loop where you have to like deal with the consequences and then you can go back. Like it's more.
Yeah.
It's somewhat Groundhog Day-ish.
Yes.
Because he is repeating like the same, Halloween day every time.
Yeah.
So
I know. Yeah. You put it well there. That's very true.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that most government nuclear systems involve turning keys, not a Y/N question mark.
Yeah, it seems pretty like anyone could just do that.
Like because I know they didn't intend to launch like nukes. It was like Skynet taking control. But any like massive governmental like computer system or software isn't just gonna say Y/N question mark.
Yeah.
And that could be operated by any dickhead. That just wants to blow up the world.
No, that's 100% true.
So what is next? Oh yes. When John Connor and Kate are fighting, he says, "You remind me of my mother." Probably not something to say.
It's not a sexy thing to say.
It's not a sexy thing to say, is it? It's not good to say. Doesn't say that to someone that you intend to marry.
No, it's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah, and then literally within like I'd say 12 hours of her fiance dying, she's just like cuddling up to this guy.
Yeah, it's been a long day apparently for.
Also, she says that like before the first Terminator came to get him, they had their first kiss. He was literally 10, and like she's like, "Oh yeah, you were my first kiss," and he's like, "Really?" I'm like, "You were 10? Like when was your first kiss?"
How many boys
like,
were you kissing? Yeah.
No, I mean like John Connor, like because he was like, "Really? I was your first kiss?" Like as though he'd had like multiple before her. I was like how old were you, mate? Like I think Sarah Connor could have kept the tighter leash. I know she was in a mental hospital, but like still could have kept the tighter leash on you,
Yeah.
And then there's of course a great line. "Here's my father's plane. I trained on it." Just fly it. Yeah. I'm sorry. Like, it's like an hour until the end of the world. Shut up.
Yeah. It's not my favorite Kate line.
Yeah. You share yours, Matthew.
Just die, you bitch. I didn't really do it justice. I'll edit that out and then put actually Claire Danes.
Claire Danes version.
Just die, you bitch is excellent.
Yeah, it's a true respectable moment.
Do you think Claire Danes is good in this?
Again, unnotable. Like most of the cast is bad or unnotable, and they sort of like meander through like a pretty decent plot.
She's good in Romeo and Juliet.
Is she, Matthew?
She's the no. Wait, she's not the DiCaprio. She's the DiCaprio.
Yeah, she's Juliet.
Yeah.
Matthew, we'll talk about that one day in or Baz Luhrmann films. I don't think I can suffer through a lot of Shakespeare films.
Winter Steel. Yeah, no. I think she's okay in this.
Yeah, I really don't think that John Connor giving the Terminator a talking to would do much. He just says, "What's your mission, mate?" You can't feel it, that can you? And he's like, "Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I guess I should probably just like fight this." Great.
Guess he's just trying to make a conversation.
He's a computer.
Yeah,
you can't give it a talking to.
Is the T101 program to like have a conversation? Do you think?
See, I don't know, because he was sort of like adaptable in the sense that we saw the T101 in Terminator 2 Judgment Day, but he insists. Well, I suppose his CPU has been, changed by the Resistance, so maybe they also changed this Terminator to have the sort of learning capabilities of the one in T2.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he is able to have a conversation, and he's able to lie and make jokes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I suppose he is quite a similar figure.
He is.
There's no explanation almost to when he says that he's the one that kills John Connor in the future. Like that's just
Yeah,
it's just a throwaway line, and then like they have no issue with that. Really moving on.
Like, what is your opinion of like the dark future of Judgment Day? Like how it ends and that like it actually does happen.
How
Like,
the film ends.
Yeah,
I respect it so much.
I respect it.
Because it's like a good version of Avengers Infinity War, in that it had the cojones to go against the normal formula of the hero save the day, and they realized that their only goal really was to survive.
Like, would you have liked Endgame more if Thanos got the gauntlet and just snapped again?
Honestly, I've seen an edit where Thanos says, "I'm inevitable,"
that,
and then
yeah.
snaps, and then that's the end of the film, and I would have been amazed. I would have been so happy, and if that had been the end of the MCU, I would have been happy.
Yeah.
I mean, I still would have hated the rest of the film, but it would have meant that their time travel efforts were futile and the whole film was pointless, which is great. And I would have been so happy with that, because, I really respect any film that, has the heroes lose. And then obviously that leads into the post-apocalyptic world scene in Salvation, which we'll talk about very soon.
We will indeed.
Stay tuned.
Subscribe.
Yeah, I mean, Claire Danes seems to kind of accept that fate a bit too quickly. Even with minutes to go, she just says, "We could just let it go." I'm like, the world.
Yeah.
Like I said that to Matthew as we were watching the ending, and I was a bit pissed off with her. Yeah, sure, you have like a handsome boyfriend now, but is that really worth the apocalypse?
See, I really like the fact that like the radio like transmissions like for help. I like the way it's when you see John Connor like become leader of the resistance like that, which I quite like. But he's not there yet, obviously. But I do like that foreshadowing.
Yeah. Honestly, I really like this film.
I like it too.
I think it's pretty consistent tonally with 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think it's pretty goofy, but I think it embraces it.
Like, I think if they had ended the trilogy there, like, I think people would have been much happier, and then Terminator would have gone on, because obviously now the Terminator franchise, it's, most people see it as hit or miss, because half the films are good, half are considered bad.
Like,
but I think if they'd stopped at this point, they would have been like, 2 great, 1 pretty solid.
Yeah, like I've never realized how similar this trilogy is to the Raimi trilogy. As in, Spider-Man 1, The Terminator, pretty great. Spider-Man 2, T2, most people would say like the perfect sequel. Spider-Man 3, well, maybe not you. Spider-Man 3 and Terminator 3, not as good, but goofy, but still okay. I think that's pretty similar to how the Raimi trilogy is.
I'm just disagreeing with you on so many levels here.
Seriously?
Well, I mean, Spider-Man 3 is not a well-made film. Like, like Spider-Man 3 doesn't even hit mediocre. Like, Spider-Man 3 is a bad film, but it's so amazing. But it's a bad film. Yeah. This isn't a bad film, it's just mediocre.
Yeah, okay.
But honestly, I prefer, like, terrible films to mediocre films. So if someone asked which I prefer, I probably do prefer Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
Despite it being a much, much worse film. But yeah, I mean,
it's a good film.
It's very consistent with 1 and 2, I think, because I've seen clips and trailers for 4 and 5. Are you taking a phone call?
Oh my ride.
Oh yeah, we'll be done in 1 minute.
Cool.
But they seem tonally inconsistent with 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, yeah,
so I think this one is a much more appropriate sequel.
Yeah.
Even more than Dark Fate. I think Dark Fate departs from 1 and 2 more than tonally and visually.
Very different. But
so, how do you think this compares to Dark Fate? Do you think this is the best Terminator 3?
I prefer Dark Fate, but I think this film probably fits better into the universe than Dark Fate does. Dark Fate feels like a different universe for me, but still, I think I prefer it.
Yeah.
Like if Dark Fate didn't have Arnold Schwarzenegger or then Hamilton, it may as well just be like another future robot film.
I think all the performances in Dark Fate are better than this one, but as a sequel, I know it gets Linda Hamilton back, but I think this made more sense as a sequel. Yeah. And then having it end with Judgment Day, I think is a really good way to cap off the series and say, they say in the film that Judgment Day is inevitable, and they're right, and it finishes with Judgment Day. I think if they had finished the franchise there, I would have been more happy.
That's what elevates the film for me to like a 7.
I think this provides me with a more satisfying conclusion than Dark Fate, because Dark Fate, probably still justifies more sequels, but this one doesn't really justify a sequel, which is probably why number 4 was panned.
Yeah.
So I think had they ended it on this, it would have been a much tighter, more well-received franchise.
Couldn't agree more.
I'm going to agree with you on a 7.
7?
Yeah.
Well, that'll conclude our mini review on Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines. Callum and I would like to thank you very much for watching, and for everyone who's liked, subscribed, commented, shared. We honestly, we really appreciate that and can't thank you enough for the support. So yeah, without further ado guys, have a good one and see you later.
Bye.